I started receiving messages. You know how sometimes you get a text from an unknown number that just says, "Hi." I block them, but sooner or later that same hi pops up from another number, and I block that one. Well, this started out like that, only the first message wasn't hi. It was, "We are not dead." They claimed to be using a future technology to send messages back in time, a warning of the world to come. The Horror Eternal presents We Are Not Dead, Chapter 4, Night Terrors. I looked at the clock on my dash. It was nearly midnight. I was still in the parking lot at work, reading the text, lost in the story of Edwin and Rosa. The text ended there. I headed home, made a drink, stiff vodka, soda water, got in the bed. I thought about the earlier texts and the signs they spoke about. The sound around the world, the hum. It seemed like I'd heard something like that before. A friend of mine played a YouTube video for me with what sounded like trumpets over Jerusalem. I looked it up, and sure enough, there were articles and videos about a phenomenon reported around the world called the hum. Reports of trumpets heard in the sky, and even something called skyquakes. As with any strange phenomenon, they're basically dismissed or explained away by the experts. But I never heard one as described in the text, a vibration that shook the entire planet. Is it possible I'm already living in the run-up to the worldwide event described in the text? Of course, there's another, more obvious explanation, that this whole thing is a hoax. Whoever's jerking my chain is using random internet mysteries to build their backstory. I went on a Reddit forum dedicated to all kinds of strange phenomenon like the sounds, UFOs, demons, ghosts, Bigfoot, you name it, and I submitted a post asking if anyone out there was receiving messages claiming to be from the future like the ones I had received. Then a new message appeared. After the cops, the ambulance, and the coroner came, and Rosa's body had been taken away, I dropped Edwin off at his mother's house. It was haunting, watching the commotion as the creature stood right there, staring, observing it all, everyone acting as if it didn't exist. And now I had to face my own black-eyed monster. Anxiety racked my thoughts as I parked and walked toward my apartment. I passed the one in the courtyard. My neighbor's door was closed now. Apparently, the authorities had been there too. I said a little prayer as I made it up the steps, begging for it to be gone. I swung the door open quickly, just wanting to get it over with, and there it was, staring back at me, appearing out of the darkness as I flicked on the light. I walked quickly past it, careful not to make eye contact, and went straight to my room. I closed the door loudly and locked it behind me. I realized locking the door was merely symbolic, but it made me feel a little safer, irrationally so. Looked at the clock, 2 a.m. I was gonna be hating life in the morning. Assuming work is still a thing, I checked my email, didn't get any notice otherwise. Crawled under the sheets, tried to scroll some socials to lull me to sleep, but all I saw there was them. More watchers, silly people posing in front of them with dumb signs, frightened people praying to them or to their gods against them, chaos. I'd seen enough chaos for one day. My eyes were suddenly heavy, then blackness. My eyes snapped open at a loud bang on the floor. Looked down to see I'd drifted off, dropped my phone. I picked it up, set the alarm, and placed it on the nightstand, then turned out the light. In the middle of the night, I woke, groggy, barely conscious, and I see the Watcher standing at the foot of my bed, outlined by the moonlight from the window behind it, staring, watching me sleep. Paralyzed with terror, I stayed still, squinting my eyes to see it. A thought rang in my head, a thought that seemed to come from outside, airdropped into my consciousness. The thought took the form of words. Look nice. Look nice. Slowly, over and over. Look nice. I felt no context for the meaning of those words whatsoever. The intrusion into my mind sent a cold shiver through my body. I clamped my eyes shut hard, wishing it would all just go away. This one, all of them, the chaos and fear. I woke to the sound of my alarm, head pounding with a headache. The creature was gone from my bedside. I felt a weight lifted from my chest and slid out from the covers and went to the bathroom to get ready for work. Checked emails while I shaved, made sure nothing had come in from the job, and found one waiting. An all-hands communication urging employees to come into the office and continue their work, but due to the extraordinary circumstances affecting the planet, it would be excused if we didn't feel comfortable doing so. Affecting the planet. A planetary emergency. That's what it was. Planetary. And yet we were encouraged to go about our daily lives. I looked at my face in the mirror. I could see lines on my forehead that hadn't been there before. I stared into my eyes. The irises seemed lighter, off from their usual shade of brown. I raised the blade and dragged it down my cheek, rinsed it, then dragged it down again. Look nice. The words rang in my head. Then blood ran down my cheek to my neck. I winced at a sudden pain, the blade having dug into my skin. I stepped out to my front room, dressed and ready with a large bandage stuck to my face. I was greeted with the uncontrollable sensation of the air letting out from my lungs, legs nearly giving way as I saw the watcher was gone. I walked to the window and looked out. The one in the courtyard was also missing. I swallowed a few deep breaths as I went to the kitchen and started making my coffee. I thought about staying in. I really hadn't wanted to because I didn't want to be here with the creature in my front room. Now that it was gone, did I really need to go? As the coffee maker wheezed and chortled, I considered. I finally settled on going in. Being isolated right now could be almost as bad as being alone with one of those things. Something had snapped in Rosa, and I understood. With what was happening, it could happen to anyone at any moment. I could feel it deep inside myself. I wasn't immune. They were still there, dotted all along the drive-in. The one in the parking garage at work had returned. The office was mostly empty, but a handful of us had come in. As I approached my office, a couple of my coworkers stood in the hall near the door, Mark and Judy. I didn't really know Judy, but Mark and I sometimes traded stories about women and dating. Not that either subject had been relevant to my life for a while. "How you holding up?" Mark called out as I unlocked my door. I shrugged and raised my eyebrows. Holding on, I guess. I opened the door, set my bag down, and walked over to Mark and Judy. "I thought I'd be the only one here," I said. "So did we," Mark laughed. "Are you kidding? I came in to get some peace and quiet," Judy said. "I left the kids at home with one of those monsters. I told it, if you're gonna stay here, you can at least make yourself useful and babysit." "No way," I said. "Yeah, that's a joke, Einstein," she smirked. "What did you do?" I asked. "Are schools open? I've had such a stressful 24 hours I haven't even looked to see what's going on. And in a bizarre way, I feel like nothing is. Like, how has the president not come out and said something?" "Yeah, seriously," Mark agreed. "I don't think they know what to do or say," Judy said. "They can't admit it because they'd lose control, so they don't say anything at all." "Makes sense," I nodded, "but it's so fucked up." "I hear the morgues are overflowing with suicides," Mark said. "There was a guy 2 blocks over from us, shot his whole family to death last night. It's horrible," Judy added. I didn't say anything about what I had experienced the day before, not wishing to revisit it in casual conversation. Judy excused herself and went off down the hall. Mark placed his hand on my shoulder and guided me back towards my office. "Hey, have you been on Dater? It's fucking crazy town. Crazy pussy town." No, I haven't been on there in months," I said as we stepped through the doorway. Mark pushed the door shut behind us. I went around the desk and sat down as he continued with a manic intensity. This whole thing's got people crazy, more importantly, women. No one wants to be alone right now. Something about the impending end of the world makes them crave intimacy, a hunger that needs to be filled. With all this going on, you went on there? I asked. Hell yeah, fuck yeah, I'm always on there, but last night and this morning, it's been off the hook. I messaged someone yesterday at 5 o'clock, met up, hooked up, and I was back out there by 9. Messaged someone else, late night drinks, and by midnight, I'm in the paint again. Jesus, sounds exhausting, I said. Think I might go for the record on the weekend. I mean, if there is one. I'm just giving you a heads up. How you been doing? Seen anyone? I shook my head, dropped my eyes to a pattern in the carpet, drew imaginary shapes in it as I spoke. No doing here whatsoever. Haven't had it in me since the whole thing with Sylvia went down. Yeah, well, I get that. That shit was severely fucked up, but time to get back on that horse. Might be the last one running before the end of the human race. Hey, Mark. I looked up. What do you think they are? He stared back, stone-faced for a moment. I could see the reality of things wrestling with his glib facade. Then he shrugged. Honestly, I have no fucking idea. I was always told space aliens, gods, and demons weren't real. Then one day I wake up with something that could be any one of them, staring me in the face. My worldview is shattered, so who fucking knows? But my guess, it's the Grim Reaper, come to harvest the crop. Clock's ticking. Mark left. I thought about it. Shit, he might be right. I opened the app store and re-downloaded Dater, signed in, and started scrolling for some matches. I found a few viable candidates and messaged them with a creative greeting. Then I contacted a few I'd started conversations with in the past before I'd met Sylvia. Hey, you never know. All total, my short burst of inspiration might have lasted all of 10 minutes. Then it passed and I went back to my normal routine, started going through my email backlog from the last 2 days and clearing it out. Turned out Mark wasn't lying. In exactly 7 minutes, I had 2 replies. One was a new match, and one I traded messages with about a year ago, but we never settled on a meetup. Her name was Kate. Several messages back and forth between both, and I had 2 potential meetups for drinks after work. I went with Kate first since I had time in with her. Seemed the safest bet. I gave the new girl, Sadie, a story that I had a late meeting at work, and I'd text her when I was done. This would give me the flexibility I needed to see how things would go with Kate. The workday was unfocused, unproductive, as it could only be given the circumstances. I skimmed articles and watched the cable news channels throughout. The situation was becoming surreal. Things seemed to be deteriorating. Chicago was on fire. Looting and rioting broke out. It wasn't even clear what brought it on. The epidemic of suicides was spreading. Some kind of new religion seemed to be forming, crowds assembling to bow and pray and worship. At 5 o'clock, I headed to my car in the parking garage, past 2 watchers on the way and several co-workers who'd clearly started the party early at their desks, laughing loudly, stumbling, and tossing coins at one of the creatures. The parking lot was clear. The watcher loitering there in the morning was gone. As I approached my car, I noticed the neon lamp above my parking space was flickering. Flick, flick, light, flick, flick, flick. And in a static shimmer, my eyes made out something, a shape seated in the passenger seat. I slowed and stopped a few feet from the door and bent down to look inside. A watcher waiting for me to get in.
Monster Forge. We make monsters.